the sissies and the whiners that we have on colleges today. The half-baked human beings that are passing for victims. It's enough to make you puke. It's enough to make you puke when you look at the kids on campuses today screaming about garbage. Garbage because someone looked at them the wrong way. They call a lawyer. Or the illegal aliens. They want to break into my country and anyone who stands up to them is a racist, huh? That's because men like this are dead. That's because men like this are dead. He said air power helped defeat the tyrant Hitler. People today should be thankful we helped rid the earth of that tyrant. I don't want people to forget the great sacrifices these men made during World War II. They were some of the bravest men in history. Take a look at the writing, even of a small newspaper at that time in a local town in America compared to the junk that the journalists of today write. Take a look at that newspaper story. Brings Wounded Fortress back. All right, my friends, it's 27 minutes after the hour. We're celebrating Veterans Day. Let's have a little cheerful music. If you expect me to talk about last night's debate, would you leave me alone already? Any one of them would be, turn it on. Any one of them would be a better president than Hillary Clinton. Anybody on that stage would be better than that creature that we all know already who she is and what she did to us for 8 years. What is she, brand new? Would they just discover her? What, she cured polio somewhere I don't know about? Anybody on that stage, even the ice cream man, would be better than her. As far as the debate itself, let's face it, Cruz was the number one winner. He was great. Rubio was not, they got Rubio. They're all behind him because he's the fall guy. Rubio is, who was that guy who ran last time whose name I forgot? The guy from Salt Lake City. I don't know his name. I don't remember him. I swear to God. I drew a blank. Yeah, Romney. Thank you. A real memorable man. Very memorable. Rubio is the Romney without an O at the end of his name. Rubio is Romney with an O at the end of his name. Another fall guy. He's set up to take a fall. He's a patsy.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
All right, girls. Lift that anchor. Well, no, it's a fake Navy. They don't leave port. It's just a floating diversity training session now. We don't really use the military the way it used to be used. Now it's for social purposes. Now that the sorority got control of the Navy, I'm surprised they haven't removed the propellers from the ships. I mean, after all, take your places, those propellers. And the object is not to go anywhere and shoot those guns or missiles, is it? It's to enjoy the benefits of the U.S. Navy. Cruz shined, Trump chimed, Rubio whined, Kasich pined, Carson dined, Carly mimed, Paul signed, and Bush was blind. I watched it. I'm glad Trump said to her, why does she keep interrupting everyone? I like that part of it. Well, who gave her the right to interrupt everyone? Actually, she'd be a better president than Hillary. I liked her. I thought Cruz was great. I'm not a big fan of his. I know he's smart. I don't think he's electable, but I think the guy is brilliant and he's got the right ideas. I really do. Paul was very good, but again, or whatever. And Kasich was, he was on the ropes there. The others, who knows? Rubio's a front man for those who want him to fall, so what are you going to do? We're talking instead about the men who keep this country going. And we all know that the military is fighting a war of all wars, and soon it'll come to a town near you, if it already hasn't. Soon you're not going to be insulated from the illegal aliens from the Middle East who Obama's rushing and Africa, by the way, as fast as he can. Because amongst them, as you well know, there are ticking time bombs that are set to go off. You ask yourself then, why would a legitimate, sane government bring in people amongst whom by logic, by data analysis, a certain number of them are going to go off and stab and kill and maim and blow things up. Why would you bring any of them in until you sort this all out? Well, you don't have a sane government. That's number one. But number two, there may actually be something more sinister involved, which I don't even have to say, because then you start bordering in an area and people can accuse you of things that are not true. So here we are. A crazy world that we live in. And so we can do what we can do, and I say to my children when they get a little, crazy about what the future is bringing under this crazy man in the White House, what he's doing, it's like seeding a disaster for the nation. It's as though he wants to poison the nation for good before he leaves office, if he ever leaves office. It's as though he's doing everything he can to seed poison in every aspect of the American way. It's just seed as much as he can to have this poison go off like a toxin he's injecting into every aspect of our government and our way of life. So you say, well, what are you going to do about it? People are afraid for the future. One of the candidates last night even said, I don't know which one, she said or he said, person came up and said, I'm worried about my children's future. Aren't you? You're not worried about your children's future with the psycho in the White House? The man has done everything he can to wreck the military. Here we are. You think this is hyperbole, right? Oh, there he goes again. He's just making it up. No, I don't make things up. I come from a scholarly background. I'm very careful with my statements. And I document zero military in government, zero. I spent a lot of time, and I point out the purges, who he fired, how he's turned soldiers into social workers, how he supports our enemies, how he's alienated our allies, and I've asked, where is the warrior king? And strangely enough, on page 110, I talk about the Vikings' fate, because I want to put things in context, the context of history. Sometimes people can't learn from the time that they are living in. So I end it like this. I say we don't need a jobs program. We don't need diversity in the Air Force. We don't need equal opportunity for mullahs. We need a warrior king, crusader, to rebuild our military and defend Western civilization once again. And then a little paragraph, the Vikings' fate, page 110. If you think social engineering of the U.S. military is without consequences, I invite my skeptical readers to study the Danish or Swedish military of today. After many a decade of progressiveness, the descendants of Vikings are today unable or unwilling to defend their homeland against an Islamist invasion. Witness the capitulation. Thank the progressives, the gays, the feminists, and the socialists. Is this what you want for the United States? To be a helpless giant, I ask? In government, zero. Now you understand why I have not been invited to the White House for a Christmas celebration. That opens up one line at 855-400-7282. WMAL Dennis on line 7. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Michael, I'd just like to say hi to all the Marines that fought on Hill 689, the 1st Battalion, 1st Marines, in July of 1968. It was a battle that has gotten little attention, and I'd just like to say, being it's Veterans Day, hi.
Well, you're able to do that on the show today. It's your show. Is there anything else you care to say quickly?
Well, yeah, I got your book. I went to Books A Million in Winchester, and I got your book, and I'm avidly reading it.
Let me ask you something. As a vet who fought and almost lost his life in Vietnam, how do you feel looking around America today under Barack Obama? What do you see every day? What do you feel every day looking at what's going on the campuses and cities burning under Obama? What do you actually feel?
Well, I feel that the country's doomed if something doesn't happen. That's why I'm for Trump. We need somebody that's going to be energetic and do something. We need somebody strong in there. That's just the way I feel.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, Trump is pro-military, very, very strongly so. And as he said, he hires good people. I can guarantee you he will hire. I can almost guarantee you. I can't guarantee anything what a guy is going to do. But if he wins, and I hope he does, he would hire probably a great general like a Patton to rebuild the military after it's been gutted by Hussein. Well, my friend Mike, I'm sending you another copy of Government Zero to give out to a neighbor or friend for Thanksgiving. And I thank you very much for calling the program. 855-400-7282. WBAP, Steve, line 5, you're on the Savage Nation. Please make your point quickly.
Yes, Dr. Savage, I believe you were instrumental in setting up defense for the Marines accused of the Haditha incident in November 2005. I was attached to that.
You know, you're right. Wait, you were attached to that group?
Yes, sir. I wasn't there when it happened. I wasn't on scene, but I was attached to that group. I was actually a reservist and called out of college to deploy to Iraq. And
I remember. And who was please remind the audience who the president was when the Marines were falsely accused for doing their job properly in Haditha. Who was it who brought charges against them?
That was President Bush.
Yeah, and this is what bothers me. is that people don't understand that this war on the real military started before Barack Obama. It's just metastasized now almost to a lethal point. But Bush started it, by the way. He went after the military tooth and claw. People don't know that.
I know it all too well, sir.
I'm sure you're doing there's things you want to say, but you're not like me. I talk too much, you talk too little. Stay in the line, government zero goes out to you. See, that's the thing. There's some people who talk a lot and some people who talk a little. But sometimes people who talk a little have a lot to say, and sometimes people who talk a lot have a little to say. You know, there's an Arab saying that I used to think about a lot before I became a broadcaster. And I dare almost not say it, but I'll say it because what the heck, I'm that kind of guy. I'm almost impervious or immune to my own insults. But there was an Arab saying that goes like this. It's a Bedouin saying in particular. And it says, if you cannot improve upon the silence of the desert, don't open your mouth. I love that one. Isn't that great, Robert? If you cannot improve upon the silence of the desert, do not speak. I don't know whether they use that to control their children and women. I have no idea. But if you've ever met Bedouins, they're a breed amongst themselves. Years ago, when I did a stage performance in 03, 04, 05, a Savage Live performance in front of an audience of a couple of thousand folks, I remember on stage I brought out a gun from like 1850, a flintlock, that was, maybe a foot and a half long, and it was a beautifully carved flintlock. It was from Arabia at the time, and you could see tobacco stains on the handle of the wooden handle. That's how close this gun was to this man. And I try to remind the audience how imperative it was for a man in the desert to own a gun, to protect himself, his wife, and children from enemies, from marauders. And yet here we have a creature like Hillary Clinton who would tell us that we have no right to defend ourselves in an increasingly violent world. Isn't that amazing? That even a Bedouin understood the value of a single weapon. Well, I can give you many stories like that. I don't think I have to sell you on what you already know. WMAL Dan, line 3, fire away. You're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Dr. Savage. I'm a retired Marine, retired about a year ago, and I just want to say thank you for, keeping these issues on the forefront of the American psyche. I did 10 years enlisted, 10 years officer, got a tour in Afghanistan, tour in Iraq, and, it's amazing. I was at Headquarters Marine Corps when I retired. I was involved in the Don't Ask, Don't Tell thing, the Women in Combat Units thing. What I've seen the administration do is shocking. And right now, they're pressing the transgender thing in the military. It's unreal.
It's unreal. That's right. It's something out of an insane asylum. Now, Dan, being on the front lines of the insanity of Obama's social engineering in the military, let's say we get a true conservative in the White House. Can he fix this? Can it ever be fixed?
It'll take a full 8 years, I'll tell you that. I grew up in the Clinton Marine Corps and really got a feel for how that played out. And then obviously in the Bush years, we had 9/11, which I in some senses was actually fortunate from the standpoint of the destruction that Clinton had rained on the military. And then so we kind of recovered from that in the sense that we had real stuff going on and we really had to focus in and focus on the mission. Mm-hmm. And then since then obviously winding down to abysmal failure. We've really had to, there are good people. But
if he's pushing incompetence, if Obama is pushing incompetent officers into every aspect of the military, almost the way let's not go to the Soviet era. He's doing something beyond the Soviet era. He's destroying the military from within. How in the world can a new president undo the damage that Hussein is doing right now?
Well, it's like what you just said. You got to get people in there who are true patriots. The Patton-like generals. General James Mattis is one. I revere him as a great American hero. Unfortunately, he did not see things the way the Obama administration would like to, and so, he was shown the door. But it's people like him who I believe are still around.
But wait, one of the things I call for in my book is to bring back all of the military personnel, captain and above, who were purged by this evil administration. Give them back pay, put them in command again, but can we get rid of the deadwood? Can we get rid of these people who are destroying the military the same way the universities have been destroyed? Can you throw them out?
It'll be extraordinarily difficult, but I don't think that that battle is lost yet, because true patriots do still exist, and just like he's been purging the good ones out and putting the bad ones in, it's going to have to go through a similar process.